Hi everyone. I'm going to do a little explaining here in this video about the writing topics for today. So first is passive voice. So I like to think about passive voice in two ways. The first way is the form, right? So what does passive voice look like in writing? So the form is the verb to be, the verb be in any of its forms. So it could be is, oops, let me get out of all caps, is, was, were, are, even the present perfect, which is have been, has been, future will be, and even the past perfect, which is had been. Okay, so it's some kind of form of the verb to be plus a past participle. So a lot of English verbs have the past participle is the same as the past tense. Like walk, right? We walked on the beach. We had walked 6 miles before the thunderstorm started. We have been walking in the mall each morning for extra exercise when it's too hot to walk outside. Any of those. So, my point is that in English, walked and had walked, this is the past form of the verb walk, right? And then this is the past, when I say past participle here, this is the past participle. So the past participle is the same form. But there are other verbs in English that have a different past participle. And I know, it might have been a while since you've had a grammar class, so this is kind of why I'm going over this. So like give, right? Give, the past tense of give is gave, and the past participle is given, right? So I give my sons an allowance when they do their chores. We gave my niece some money for her graduation. We have given to multiple charities over the years, right? So have given. Okay, so in the passive with give, you would have a sentence like this. So this is passive one example. The chancellor had been given many awards before he came to NCCU, right? So in this case, we've got a form of the verb to be, right? Had been. That's our be verb. And then given is our past participle. So the deal is in writing, this is the only time, well, actually, let me give you one more example with a regular verb. So passive to, here's a good one, right? This one happens all the time. The bag was stolen from the library, right? So again, be verb was, and then past participle stolen. Okay, so one thing, the second part of I'll talk about why these are bad in a minute, but the second, besides the form, the second part I like to think about with passive is your use of it, right? So the form and the meaning, or why you use it, right? So why would you use it? So the reason why you use the passive voice, there are a couple. One reason could be that you don't know who did the action. So that's like, for example, this second example, the bag was stolen from the library. You don't know who did it. And so instead of saying someone stole the bag from the library, you know, this is a common form. And this is okay even in news writing if you don't know who did the action. The other reason why you might use it is if you want to be vague about who did it. So you don't really want to admit who did it or call the person out. But that's, in news writing, not really a very good use for it. And then the third reason is that maybe the object of the sentence, right, the person who received the action, is more important than the action itself or than the subject. So in this case, the chancellor had been given many awards, right? Sentence in English, people tend to like pay attention to the beginnings of sentences, which is why you got to make your sentences good. But in this case, like, you know, first of all, it's many awards. So it's like, you know, are we going to list them out? Like the NAACP, the Boys and Girls Club, the blah, 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 all gave the chancellor's awards before he came to NCCU. No, it's just more efficient in this way. We're really focusing on chancellor, not the awards, and definitely not who gave the awards. So that's why you would put that first. You might see it often with like Obama or Trump, let's see, Trump was excused from military service or something like that. Right, so the military excused Trump would be the active, but in this case, we're like kind of focusing on him more. All right, so the other thing I was going to tell you is, so the use, and then the third thing really is the meaning of the passive, which I've kind of already mentioned, and I think you probably have already gotten it. The meaning is just that the subject, when you have a sentence in passive, the subject of the sentence, right? You remember that hang on one second. The subject of the sentence is not doing the action, right? The subject is receiving the action from someone else. So like in most sentences, right, you probably remember this somehow in an English class, SVO, right, subject, verb, object, which is what we like to do in news writing. So the cat, right, cat's our subject, ate the food. Food's our object, right? So to make it passive, what you would do is like the food was eaten by the cat, right? Sometimes it's common to have a by phrase if you actually know the subject, but like in this case, the bag was stolen from the library. We don't have a by phrase because the reason why we're using it is because we don't know who did it. Another time it's pretty common in news writing is with the word arrest. So the suspect was arrested or was taken into custody just after midnight, we could say, right? Because who does arresting? Police. So it's like we don't need to say police arrested the suspect because if we're using the verb arrest, we know we're talking about police. Unless it's something really important like a SWAT team arrested or something different. So that's kind of a common use. But in general, what I want you to do is just avoid, even this sentence about the chancellor had been given many awards. This is still, in news writing, you're trying to cut out any unnecessary words. And so even this sentence would be better to say the chancellor received many awards before he came to NCCU. He came to NCCU. All right, so I hope this is helpful. Sorry, my son keeps texting during my video. But yeah, so passive voice, if you're not familiar with it or you like kind of don't remember it, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that thing from high school English, but I don't remember what it is or why it's bad. So this is my explanation of it. And I gave you a website, but I'm not sure. The website kind of explained it differently, so I wanted to do this because sometimes one explanation makes more sense to someone than a different one. All right, so I'm going to go now. I'm going to make another little video about redundancy for you.